area. And on this here episode, we're going to be focusing on distribution, basically, of a film or TV product. Film and TV, interchangeable words, that is. And joining me right here in studio is a man who is no stranger to the show, because when we actually started the show back in 2021, he's one of the first people who got to be on the Lounge Convo for the first time. It was via the phone, and he is joining us in the studio this week. In 2 years later, 2023, 2021. Samuel Ngwenya, better known as Sam Ngwenya. He is a director and producer, aka a filmmaker. Good evening and welcome to Gabz FM.
Thank you. Hi, K-Love. Thanks for having me.
We know each other personally, so it's always weird when I don't know about you, but for me, when I have a conversation, especially on air with people that I know personally, it's always weird, but it's okay.
Yeah, well, we go back. Has it been 15 years?
Yeah, a long time, man.
Yeah.
Long time. It's good to have you in studio. Yeah. And, you're one of the people who's doing great things in the film and TV space. And we're talking distribution. And I take it as a conversation that you are well familiar with, looking at the trajectory of your show. We're talking Colors drama series, which is actually going to be premiering on SABC 1 in about 7 minutes time. That's at 7:30. Central African time. And, we're talking about a show that started out here in Botswana, produced in Botswana, everything in Botswana, and it has had a life of its own. And that's how I always like to look at film and TV or just any product. And I like, highlighting how, you can produce a show in Botswana and it doesn't necessarily air in Botswana. It goes and airs elsewhere, like you see with short films. A lot of short films in Botswana actually get to premiere at different film festivals before actually even playing in Botswana, and that's where distribution comes in. That's where opening channels, talking to people, and all of this comes in. Let's talk that. Let's talk the distribution part of things. First of all, let's kick it off this way. When you sat down and you created the show Colors, did you envision it actually, making it out of the BW, making it out of Botswana? Is it a thing you think of when you're sitting there, la script and everything?
Definitely, it was. It's also the reason why we made it premium. We made it the picture, the story itself, it's high quality. Uh-huh. Also, the reason why we make it to have a global appeal. As much as you are infusing Setswana culture in it, you have to have the international, international culture into it.
Culture, all right.
Yeah. For instance, one of the first thing that you notice is that it's about 90% English. To that end, you know that anybody in the world, most people in the world will be able to understand it. Mm-hmm. And then it's predominantly youthful, and it tackles issues that youth all over the world encounter.
All right.
So that's the most important thing.
So when you put together a story, those are some of the elements that you think of.
Yeah.
Okay, let me, as much as, because I take it again, the story might have, because now you're thinking these things. Like somebody wrote the script, right?
Yes.
Then you all came together and thought, okay, now let's break it down this way. Let's make it appealing. So probably it has changed from the original first draft.
The script always has a life of its own. It's never exactly what you had in mind when you started out. If it ever is that, then something is really wrong with your film or yourself as the creator. So it changed a lot because there are so many unforeseen circumstances. For instance, when we started filming Colors, we had to wait for about 6 months before we could go into principal photography, which means during that 6 months, it actually helped us to hone in the script. There were lots of changes there that we did.
So you shoot you edit, you reshoot probably other things, you edit, you do the final draft. Now, your show has made it out of the country. This is its second channel that is making it onto outside the country in the same country. The first time I believe it was on Moja Love. Now it's made it to SABC. Now, such a show, because now this goes back to, let's say, contracts and everything. Like, how then do you structure a deal that allows you to say, okay, here's a show, you air it, but after, because I know most of the times you find that it's probably they'll say 3 airings. Like, we're going to play first premiere season and we're going to do a rerun. Mm-hmm. And this rerun, maybe in the contract, you're going to say, okay, yeah, this rerun, the first rerun is after a year after the premiere, whatever. And the last quarter, everything has to be done in 5 years. Lay it alone in 5 years or 2 years.
Yeah.
Hey.
What I can tell you that, as broadcasters, they push the limits to which they can exploit a program when it comes to them. Usually what they do, they give you, they want a 2-year exclusive rights in their territory, broadcast rights. There are different types of broadcast.
Which makes sense.
Yeah. 2 years, and then they will also say multiple repeats.
Oh, okay.
They will just want to play it as much as possible. And this one also includes having the show on their platform, digital platform, which they are creating as we speak. So it will be sitting there. That's a, what do you call them? A streaming rights.
Streaming rights.
Yeah.
Which now, again, streaming rights were never a thing back in the day. Now, because of all of these online streaming platforms, they're definitely a thing.
Yeah.
With your experience, this is not your first show. You've worked on other shows, either as a consultant or just being hired to come work on a show. Looking at our landscape in Botswana, how are we with the streaming rights so far? With your experience over time. One
thing that I see as we work in the industry is that many people don't really understand what streaming rights are. They only know that there's just broadcast rights. But what's happening in the landscape, the industry itself, streaming rights are actually going to overtake the broadcast rights.
Obviously.
Something that happened in the States, Amazon, I think they bought all the rights for the English Premier League. So much as that no one in the States can actually broadcast the English Premier League. It's something that, as you can see, it's something that is happening, and it's something that is going to be stronger as we go forward. A traditional broadcast itself is dying.
And when you say that, when you mention that platform and you look at what they did in the States, and when you come to Africa, there's another channel that has those rights. All of these things, it becomes such complex and such, it's just complex, because in terms of they can have the rights in America, but when it comes to Africa, here we've sold it to these people. They have 80% of all the good games. Maybe here you can keep the 10% or the 5%. So I see the streaming rights versus the broadcast rights thing, beginning to be a bit of a problem, I guess. There are
different permutations to it. But at the end of the day, as we move away from the traditional analog systems, FM, VHF, and move into the digital space.
We're already there.
Yeah. Of course we are. But in Africa, it's taking a bit of time to really get there. We are basically going to be dealing with streaming more than broadcasting. That's where it's going. That's where your movies will be, on your phone or on your smart TV.
In conversation right here with producer, director Sam Ngwenya. We're talking distribution. Rights is what dictates how your show will go. Whether you have a movie and you've got into contract with a distributor, they'll connect you with a cinema, and it will depend country to country or wherever the cinema has its network. So we're talking more of that. Do keep it locked right here on Gabz FM. It is the Lounge Convo. It's Gabz FM, power to engage your world. If you are in Silibi Pikwe, 91.0 FM is how you are keeping locked. And we continue the conversation right here with producer, director Samuel Ngwenya. We're talking distribution. And if you're just joining in, you're just touching on issues of, broadcast the rights, traditional broadcast rights, as well as the now streaming rights, because we find ourselves most of the time watching our favorite shows, binging on them via an online streaming platform, and they didn't see. And it's good to see this move where your show has made it out of the country. We hope it lands on one of the big streaming platforms as well. Now, let's get back to the show. You did the show. You had your first 2 years with the national broadcaster here in Botswana. I believe the show came out back in 2018, because I know 2018, 2019. Yeah. And I know even on the national broadcaster, was the first premiere season. Then I know it also got to have a rerun as well. So now, after your 2 years are done, here's the most important thing that I want to understand. Because like I say, the way I always look at these things, I believe there's life to a project. Even a show that was shot in 2005, you find that right now, if it goes on TV or on a streaming platform, depending on, the impact it had and all that, even if it didn't have that much of an impact, you find that there might be something relevant that makes it become a trending show. So you're done with the show with the first 2 years here. Linseho, how then, or what was going through your minds to lead you to now having it get a deal on a platform outside Botswana? How did that work about?
What we basically do as producers is we travel to film festivals. Mm-hmm. That's where you get to meet your fellow filmmakers. You also get to meet film distributors. And you also do a lot of research on the internet and distribute your flyers, your little promos. Mm-hmm. And then hopefully you meet someone who believes in your project enough to push for it to be broadcast in one or some of his channels that he has contacts with. Uh-huh. The most fortunate thing to happen to us is that we managed to get to meet someone who has had experience in the distribution space. Mm-hmm. As a guy who lives in Cape Town. He's been doing this for 30 years. So he knows just about anybody in the broadcast and film industry internationally.
So this is a person who just basically...
That's what he does.
It's like me playing music.
Yeah. That's all he does, is distribute films.
Okay.
He brokers deals, breaks deals, and,
get the nice percentages.
Gets his share, and then he's out on to the next. Hey. And if he still believes in a project, he can actually take it further off into the other markets. Like we are supposed to have colors dubbed into French.
Into French, wow.
And then it will reach the French market.
The French market. Yeah. Now, things like that. Again, I think for most who probably had given up on film and TV, I believe it brings that hope again. Now, you're getting into it. You meet this person. Percentages are being discussed. What type of thought process were you going through? Because now, obviously, it's a different realm, I take, for you. Because, okay, you did the show. You understand you did the show. This is how much the show was getting. This is how much the actors were getting. This is how much it cost you. And now you are distributing it. Did you have understanding of, let's say, the percentages that were thrown at you at the time? Yeah. Since it's the first thing. Yeah. I think it's the first time, you doing it at that level.
Here's the thing. Percentages also depend on the total amount that's been offered. Mm-hmm. I think the higher the offer, the more the distributor can get. Mm-hmm. Because it's usually, you realize that it may be more than the offer you got before.
Oh,
yeah. Don't forget that Colors as a product is a product that was commissioned by BTV.
Oh yes.
So the rights are with BTV. So it's actually, we could actually write it at the end and say, Botswana government property. You know, when you find a chair at the government office or computer, you see something written, Botswana government property.
I could still then in the credits, like even if I watch it now on a different channel, that's why you always see with a lot of shows, like you find, let's say a big channel like BBC, you see BBC Australia, and it's a show you are watching on, let's say CBS in America, you know, because of distribution, you know, they'll still mention the original.
The original channel has to be credited for their work and for their contribution.
Do they get money?
Of course. They are the rights holders. You can't actually sell it without their consent.
Oh, nice.
Because they have to give you a go-ahead to sell wherever you can sell. And it's theirs, basically. That's what it is.
So now looking at distribution again. So this means they are what you'd call the executive producer because they paid for this thing.
Yes.
So it means everywhere where it's going to go is also a good thing for them. Exactly. That's why they will allow it to work. You know, if you can sell it wherever,
we are happy.
We are happy.
Yeah. And then as you would wish and you would hope that as it becomes more successful, they could create more programs that could be sold outside.
I believe we have a lot of that, you know. With your experience again, because you are now in this, you're in the moment right now. You know, your show is, it's
actually already started now.
Yeah, the first time was it 2021 when it made it to Moja Love?
Yeah,
and now 2023 has made it to another channel. Now, in terms of getting more shows out there, what do we need to do? What are we lacking? What has been the problem? Because for me, like I say, I watch shows and I watch credits, and I'll realize, okay, this show was originally commissioned by a TV station
in Canada,
somewhere in Canada, somewhere in Australia, somewhere in UK, BBC, yeah. You know, or even a small station somewhere in America, in New York, downtown. And I always ask myself, but with our shows, we're not seeing a lot of them actually going outside, you know, getting distributions deals outside. What do you think from your experience? What has been the problem?
If you are commissioned to do a film, whatever the amount that they are giving you as the production cost, you really have to bleed a lot of money. You might even go into debt, or you can even get really stressed because you are losing money, and by the end of it, you haven't really made money. You're just doing a product that is so high that it needs more money in terms of quality. That production was costing 3.8 million.
3.8 million.
Yeah, which is about 3.4. If you look at the picture, the whole of it, the quality versus the amount of money that it had, it's very, very little. It's shocking that we managed to actually pull it off. I had a couple of friends of mine who used to think I made a really, really big mistake because we are not going to be able to pull it off. Fortunately, we did manage to pull it off. And now the juice to that come after the fact because of the high quality. What I like to say to producers is that get the best people in the field to be there, to man all the positions that are there in the film. I got Mr. B. He's from South Africa. He's a director, award-winning director. And you'll see the difference when he operates as to somebody who hasn't reached that level.
But okay, I mean, here we're talking, I get it, the picture quality and everything. I've seen other things that, because with distribution again, right now, from the little knowledge that I have, I know, shows are grouped. Like when you go to your distributor, like you went to your distributor, and even when the national broadcaster goes out there to buy shows, they meet these distributors, and shows are grouped and categorized. A show from 1992 is still on offer some way, and we have shows that have you see, now when I talk about a show from 1992, you find that even the acting quality might have not been, you know, the wowzer. And the picture, obviously, depending on who shot it and whatnot, it's probably that camera has better quality compared to that. So the thing of picture quality and whatnot, for me, is always like, okay, look, schematics, you know.
Yeah, but the most important thing in a film is the story and the performance.
Yeah. So, and I watch a lot of TV. There are things that I always see. You look at the date 2023, 2022. But I'm following the story. I'm not really worried about, how the volume was loud. Okay, I worry because I like sound. But I'm still watching for the story. And then you realize, this thing has been distributed, has been made and been distributed. So the question, is it like you were mentioning the money issue and everything, investing? The cost of doing the initial project that we end up now, you know what, I'm done.
I'm tired. Not necessarily. Many people would like to have their products out there throughout the world. But I think the most challenging thing is knowing the right people. There's a short film called Partly Cloudy.
Yeah, it's doing well.
It's doing very well.
I saw an update this morning about it. You know.
So you then realize that it's the people that you know that will help you get the product out there, especially if it's very good. Yeah. So I think what we need as producers in the country is to go out there and market ourselves. Also, mainly because Botswana is a very small market. So you really can't depend on the market of Botswana alone to really make it as a producer or a director.
Because if you spend 3.5 million on a show, I mean, it was a tender. You got the money. Most of it was spent doing whatever you're doing. You have to pay people. Probably when you don't necessarily have that much left on you, and you still have to depend on the national broadcaster commissioning
the next
season 2.
And it doesn't come.
And if it doesn't come, what do you do? So, isn't it an issue again, or maybe again, since now you have the experience, you know the channels, and like I say, with other short films, it's not just Partly Cloudy. There are other short films that there's one that recently won Durban Film Mart.
Date Night.
Zombie Night. That's the one.
Yeah, Zombie Night. Yeah.
And even before this one, I know last year or the year before, there was another group of people who were still at the Durban Film Mart. You know, we're having people go out there. Is it an issue again, or maybe as film people, you don't want to engage people in, let's say, because we have people who work in music distribution as well. You know, I know it's two different monsters, but okay, where can we find an equilibrium and just, you know, because they also have channels. They know how to
navigate
the space.
Yeah, but then as a small market, Botswana, and as a virgin film producing market, I think Botswana is doing very well. The talent is there. I always tell people that in any country you'll find just about the same percentage of any talent in any country. So the talent is there, and then I think what we do not have is the experience, because the market is just started.
It's just started.
And as you have seen, we've heard about 3 or 4 films that have been out into the international space. So it will continue to grow. And such things as Colors being on SABC1 will actually give many filmmakers out there the impetus to do more.
All right.
And to believe in themselves.
Just hold it right there. We're going to be wrapping it up in the next 5 minutes. It's Gabz FM. In conversation with Sam Ngwenya, and we're talking distribution, and you're just talking about how now colors having made it outside, it gives others motivation, and as well, I believe it gives for those who probably didn't know much about Botswana product, a glance into what Botswana film looks like it's advertising still. Because you see, from one channel, you made it to another channel.
Yeah.
Because I take it Babu Nikaku.
Yes. And then, well, it's also a good opportunity for Botswana to market itself. You know, the fact that the film is set in Botswana, it's a good thing for the country. Yeah. You'll show very nice places in the country. You'll show the culture of the people. You show the language of the people. Media is one of the most important thing for a country to market itself.
True that.
I always tell people that when a visitor comes into Botswana, a high-level visitor, when they come into Botswana, for them to check what type of a country they are in, the first thing they do when they get to their hotel is to watch the channel, the national broadcaster. It will take them about 10 minutes, 20 minutes to figure out what type of country they are in.
True that. I mean, we grew up watching a lot of international TV in terms of, watching either South African TV or South African TV, and you watch a lot of shows from different. So you have a pretty good idea of what happens in New York because you watch TV.
Yeah.
What happens in Joburg because you watch TV. And we want the same, have an idea of what basically happens in Francistown because you watch TV, in Botswana, Ramutswa, because, the show is set in Ramutswa. So a person watching that, like, okay, this is Ramutswa village, where is it? And things like that. All right, Sam, interesting, conversation, interesting, dynamics to the whole thing. I get you. I understand. You're saying we're still, we're still growing, and at least we're doing well, but I would like to see, filmmakers come to you. Are you open to to talk to people? Like, are you friendly enough? Hey, Mr. Ngwenya, can I project
I think I'm the friendliest guy you can ever meet. It's only that sometimes you might meet people and they've not done their homework totally. And
where they want you to do
every single thing. It doesn't work. It will never work with any other person in the world. So yeah, there are certain pointers that some people would want for you to show them, which you do, because I have experience in the whole chain of production, from camera, lighting, which is DOP, from producing, from directing.
Now we add distribution.
Yeah, so I do have that experience. So it really, really helps to be a full-rounded person as a filmmaker. There's also one thing that I wanted to highlight. I wanted to say, sorry.
Yeah.
As we are wrapping up.
Yeah, no, you're wrapping up because time is not on our side. We actually went over.
Okay. Yeah. So we are just hoping and we are praying that we get a second season of Colors.
Oh yes.
And there are many other productions that are under our belt that we would like to send out there. And I also like to encourage all filmmakers not to wait for money.
Hey, Sam, I can cover well. Sometimes, it's kind of we get tired. We get tired to a point where how live it as a camera and how much can I get for this thing?
Take that camera and go and shoot. I've done a film. It's called Mamuruti, and it's beautiful. It was almost zero budget. The only thing that I did was pay for petrol and food for the actors.
All right.
Because we have the equipment, and we have the talent, and we have what else do we need? And after doing those collaborations, you can be able to sell your film and make a little bit of money.
And again, film and TV. Like you watch everywhere. People always have their clique. Like a lot of shows you watch, you realize, okay, this producer likes working with this person, this person, this person, this person, this is. So I think, as the cliques are growing is good. Message coming in from Tato and Muchuri says, we are also lacking cooperation. How I wish there are 2 or 3 production companies working on one soapy in Botswana. Interesting, that one. Because, I think one of the things that we've always highlighted right here when we talk film and TV, let's come together and let's collaborate. Sam, where can one find you, your contact details if they want to ask, hey, I have a movie, I want to distribute it it's shot, edited, and everything. Where can they find you?
I'm on Facebook, Samuel Ngwenya. Find me there. I'm also on my dial 71631585. That's all.
All right. Another message. This one says, food for thought, perhaps. One day, shoot some scenes in a country you intend to translate to the language of that particular country. Imagine how exciting it would be for them. This message came. Oh, what I like, you were mentioning, it's going to, French. Or, yeah, that also requires money, like having one of the actors travel to France, I guess that can happen in season 2 and everything. Some, we don't have, I'm going to get in trouble. We've gone over time here.
All right, mate.
Thank you very much for coming
Thanks
through.
a lot. Thanks for having me.
And share, and congratulations to the team once again. Looking forward to the movie, Mamuruti. Samuel Ngwenya, who is a producer and a director.
Love's Lounge.